Hello, this is that creepy bald guy known as Marshall Horror, and I'm here to present you with another episode of Critiquing the Critics, where I love critique the critics. Yeah, apparently that's my theme song. Pretty lame. Today's subject, Acornfilms. Okay, Acorn Cinema. I'm just going to refer to him by his real name, Ed. Ed is one of those guys whose channel is full of all sorts of wonderful shit. Sketches, college sketches, trailers of sketches. Actually, I'd like to interrupt the voice in my head real quick just to tell you that is not a sketch. It is a movie. Yeah, it is actually a full-on movie, and from what I've seen, it is actually pretty badass. He's definitely got a good visual sense with excellent cinematography and superb pacing. The narrative flows wonderfully, and it's just an all-around badass internet movie. It's much better than something like Kick-Ass, which is really polarizing. I just made a jump cut. Yeah, my editing isn't quite as fluent as his, but what can you do? So voiceover. What else did you say was on his channel? Video game reviews. More specifically, contemporary video games. He seems to favor PlayStation 3, but he does dabble with the Wii. You know, it's kind of confusing when you have films or cinema in your title when you review games, but once again, he does focus more on sketch videos and such, which are very good. Reviewing video games is a bit of a side thing. So what does the reviewer Triforce tell us about him? He focuses mainly on critiquing, but to be honest, his critiquing is uneven. Old school gamers should be pleased to know that he appears to be an old school gamer himself.
This is gameplay at its finest, where the actual play is what matters most. Not the story, or the kill count, or the bragging rights. The game. All the core mechanics. You don't get more solid than this. Now, for younger gamers who hear platforming and think meow or meow, yeah, this is platforming. This is platforming. This is platforming. This is bullshit.
He attacks some newer games that you usually don't see attacked, and he definitely puts more emphasis on the gameplay over story and graphics, etc. However, his reviews do tend to come across as a little unorganized, sometimes feeling more like rambling than reviewing. Now, people complained about me lauding Angry Joe, but the reason I did that is Joe puts a lot of effort into organizing his reviews. He talks about one thing and moves on, so at least I get the big picture. Most video game reviewers tend to get lost in their reviews. The reason for this is that they invest so much more time into a game than, let's say, a movie, and it's easy to lose focus on what they wish to talk about. Therefore, the reviews seem small-scale in content, sometimes finding gold, but for the most part failing to paint the big picture so that the viewer can tell if he wants to buy or rent the game or not. Ed sometimes is a victim of this. On the flip side, he obviously does know the mechanics of a video game, although sometimes it sounds like techno jargon to me. Not help that he speaks pretty fast, so a few things did fly over my head a little bit.
Speaking of resolution, I just like to say, we all know the back of pretty much every 360 game says 1080p because they have a built-in upscaler. So regardless whatever the native resolution is, it will output to your TV in 1080 more or less. But the PlayStation is supposed to be more, oh no, we'll let you figure it out and let your TV upscale it, a bit more complicated maybe, but maybe you'll get a better whatever in the end. Which means that they should not say 1080 for everything, which is how they supposedly do it. Here, look, Uncharted 2, also graphics, but 720. Honest. So look here. Oh, it's Assassin's Creed 2. Oh, 1080, that's nice. All lies. I know that this might be annoying, nitpicky shit, and I don't consider myself a crazy videophile or anything, but I'm particularly mad here at Sony because, look at this. This is E3 2005, talking about all this bullshit, 1080, talked for like 3 fucking hours about how the PS3's gonna be great, and the 360 wasn't shit, and everyone else can go fuck himself in a bathroom or whatever. 1080. That's all we fucking heard. 1080, 1080, 1080. And that was a big part of why they were saying, well, that's $600. I know it's $299 now, but it doesn't matter. It was a $600 console, and you had to make up for that price, and you said...
Resolution. This is the digital era.
Oh, 1080, 1080, 1080, 1080, blah, 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 blah. What do we get? What do we get? We get 720. Almost everything on all these consoles is actually not even 720 native, but like fake 720. And it was 1080. We're lucky to get meow. Meow, I say, meow.
What Ed does succeed with, however, is when he goes into an aspect of the game, he goes into it with a very uncanny eye for detail. His points can be sharp, understandable, but not pedestrian, and he is very bold. Also, he does have some very good information and is wonderful with the context.
You might be thinking, what? This came out like 7-8 months ago. And the other 99% of you are saying, huh? Because you never fucking heard of it, and that's sad. Because it's
not your fault.
Well, it's because, for some reason, the actual disc version of it was only released in Japan and the UK and maybe Europe. But in America, if you want to get your hands on it, you have to download it from the PlayStation Network. It's interesting because you can actually download it in various chapters or all at once. All at once will save you like $5. Other games have tried this broken up episodic style level division. The only problem is most of them sucked. But there, where you played just one person, here you're playing like 10. So breaking them down into episodes makes a lot more sense.
He nails aspects of reviewing the game. He just doesn't always succeed with reviewing the game as a whole. The ironic thing is that sometimes this style works. It can work very well. With Joe's style, when it doesn't work, it makes his reviews seem extra shallow. With Ed's, when they do work, they seem stunningly insightful and fresh. So ultimately, with his critiquing, I'd just say it works sometimes, it doesn't work other times. He does seem to be getting better, though. His last few reviews have been among his best. So we'll have to see what the future holds for him. And now that we've got that pretentious, snobby, criticky stuff out of the way, let's talk about how awesome Acornfilms is. Squeeze! Well, yes, I do believe that the critiquing part of his review is what he flaunts the most. I'd say this is definitely equaled by his desire to entertain. The tip of the sword there is his humor. Ed is one of the few people I've seen since starting this show whose jokes are 99% relevant to what's being said. Much like Nerd with Words, Ed makes his criticisms funny.
Alright, now that I've praised this amazing, epic, awesome battle system, it's time to talk about the, well, bad parts of this game. Also known as everything else. With no gray area at all. Everything in this game is split into camps of either pure and utter brilliance or Glenn Beck. See this quote-unquote map? This is pretty much indicative of most all maps in this little fucker. This is not a map. This is a hallway or a tunnel. An 80-hour tunnel. I don't want to run the whole fucking thing because tunnels are meant for transportation. Where's my hoverbike, bitches? Even the River Styx had a boat, and people who weren't in the boat were in hell.
As for Ed himself, there is no character, which means no acting, no hamminess, no phoniness. He just seems like a genuinely amusing guy. He's very dynamic with the tone of his voice. With tone, you can either go the Retro Gamer 3 route, which is very monotone, or you can go the Game Dude route, which is very intense and angry. Or you can do it the right way, like the Angry Video Game Nerd or the Happy Video Game Nerd, who do a perfect balance of soft and hard, intense and calm. Ed can be calm or intense, but most importantly, he cares for what he's talking about, and it shows. You can tell that he cares for what he's talking about. A reviewer's delivery is usually what makes or breaks them, as it's something that's really difficult to improve or master. It's just a natural ability, and Ed is a natural personality who is unique in that he is a personality, not a character, although he's always represented with this little emoticon-looking thing that constantly changes based on his emotions. He has conviction, which helps sell his points, but it's also what makes the funny parts funny. If I had a script, I wouldn't be able to make his jokes very funny. But with his script, Ed makes his reviews hilarious because it's in how he says everything, not necessarily what's being said.
Top of which, if a weapon breaks and, you're hitting attack, and the next item in your inventory is food, you'll suddenly eat it by accident. Not only wasting the item, but making you stand there weaponless while people eat you. Also, putting me in bike fights without telling me how to fight on a bike is how you say, fuck your mother. Adding to the dismal fight mechanics, the camera controls are so loose it's difficult to turn right or left without panning up and down. Just about all your missions will either be fetches or escort missions, all leading to the same place, which means you'll spend most of your time running through the same area and hallway over and over and over at an irritatingly slow pace. All these missions you will get while you're busy doing other stuff, and checking out what they are doesn't pause the game. Maybe it's supposed to increase tension or something, but all it increases are the number of irritating design choices present in this game. Like, oh, you say, an overall timer. No one likes an overall timer. Open world environments, which this is supposed to be, are supposed to encourage you to explore, try and be a completist if you want, and search out hidden areas, items, missions, etc. Adding an overall timer kills all of that.
His editing also works to boost his points and jokes. Let's just say that when it comes to editing, he really doesn't screw around. Your average reviewer usually only does as much editing as he has to. Hell, I'm pretty lazy with my own editing. Ed always flashes stuff up on the screen that contains direct relevance to what's being said, and it's constantly moving. Of all the reviewers whom I reviewed, Ed has the most distinctly kinetic editing style, creating a very lightning-fast pace. His reviews are usually around the 10-minute mark, so he already has the advantage of time because his reviews aren't very long, but his editing is perfect. The audio and video are top-notch too, but the editing steals the show. It is fantastic. Ed is definitely the best when it comes to editing. Going back to his criticisms, you know what, I'm not even sure if I am right in my claims about his criticisms. As the Angry Joe spectacle showed me, not everybody agrees as to what's the best style of critiquing. And if you think Joe is shallow, you might like Ed for being quote-unquote deeper. So here's what I suggest. Watch Acornfilms for its entertainment value, and then make your own decision on the guy's critiquing abilities. If he speaks to you through his criticisms, then my claims are pretty much irrelevant. If not, well, then at least he's entertaining. I'm giving him a 3.5 out of 4 stars. He also occasionally participates in a movie review, where he reveals his true form. A drunken squirrel.
They did every reference and tribute other than he's dead Jim.
Don't you just want to hug him, squeeze him, pet him, kiss him, bash his head in with a rock, and make love to its carcass? My name is Marshall Horror, and I'm here to tell you that those who cannot do, critique.